Hey, this is George. Have you ever heard of Anchor.fm? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. Number two, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Check out Anchor.fm on the iOS and Android systems.
Need psychotherapy online or in person? Check out tinyurl.com/THT psychotherapy. The George Brassey podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1@gmail.com.
Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business. Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business, Chicago Heights, Illinois, despite some members of the council being absent, freezing weather and meeting remotely due to COVID restrictions. On Tuesday night, the Chicago Heights City Council approved a number of projects to continue moving forward the city's beautification projects. Architectural services. With Alderman Vincent Zaranti sitting in as acting mayor for Mayor David Gonzalez, the council approved an agreement for architectural services with Tria Architecture. Under the $23,000 agreement, Tria will provide a space needs analysis of the municipal garage and water department facilities. The company will analyze existing facilities and determine whether an upgrade or a totally new facility is needed, based on current and future needs. Tria has provided architectural services for other local municipalities such as Country Club Hills, designing its amphitheater, storage and fleet maintenance facilities, and upgrading its recreational center. Morton Arboretum Grant. The council voted to accept an award of $15,000 from the Morton Arboretum through its Urban and Community Forestry Grant. The grant will pay for a tree inventory of the city. Funding for the grant is provided by the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service through the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Urban and Community Forestry Program. It offers urban and community forestry grants to municipalities, which are required to pass a tree preservation/protection ordinance before the end of the grant period. Engineering services. The council also approved proposals totaling $842,000 for engineering services for various city infrastructure projects. Chief of Staff Karen Zarant said the projects include sewer and resurfacing work around the city. The council approved an agreement with Grand Capital, North America, LLC, to induce the sale and development of the city-owned real estate at 560 and 570 West Lincoln Highway. Jack Hines, city economic development consultant, said the parcels are the sites of the former Lorenzetti's restaurant and car lot next to it. Grand Rapid Capital has done a number of developments in the city. In other business, Chief of Staff Karen Zarant gave the council an update on January's Illinois Department of Public Health vaccination clinic, hosted by the city. She said about 250 people registered online. The city plans to hold another vaccination clinic, in conjunction with IDPH, in February. Chicago Heights Fire Chief Jeffrey Springer announced the promotion of Captain Tony Mascalino to Assistant Fire Chief. The council approved a redevelopment agreement to induce the sale of the city-owned surplus real estate at 1902 Euclid Avenue, through the city's Abandoned Property Acquisition Program. And the city's city towing services agreement was renewed. Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business.
Before we get to the interview, I just want to tell you about our newest sponsor. Union Signs and Printing. Union Signs and Printing is a union sign shop located near Chicago, Illinois, that specializes in the production of corrugated plastic lawn signs used in applications ranging from political and election usages to unions, schools, and businesses. They also produce a vast array of other products, including American-made union-printed t-shirts, banners, bio cards, literature, door hangers, business cards, and trifold. Get a hold of Union Signs and Printing at 815-740-1688 or find them on the internet at unionsignsandprinting.com. And don't forget to tell them you heard about their services on the George Brassey podcast.
Hello.
Joshua, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Hey, I'm having a little bit of audio issues. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
All right, good.
Welcome to the podcast. So I'd like to introduce everyone to my friend Joshua Travis. Joshua holds a bachelor's degree in anthropology with minors in biology and criminal justice from Illinois State University, a master's in nonprofit management from DePaul University, and he's currently seeking a doctorate in interdisciplinary studies from Governor State. Joshua, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, it's good to be here.
So Joshua, in addition to that impressive resume that you have, you're also running for trustee in your hometown of Park Forest. Tell the audience what motivated you to do that.
You know, I've been a Park Forest resident for 23 years, and first, thanks again for having me on just to talk a little bit more about Park Forest and myself. But as I said, I've been in Park Forest for 23 years. I came out here when I was 5 years old. Got adopted out. I never really wanted to get into politics, to be fair. I think that for me, I just kind of wanted to live a Park Forest life, and I did. It was a lot of fun out here. I wasn't the best youth. I think I had a lot of behavioral issues just from my past and growing up. Explains why I do the career that I do. But one thing about Park Forest was that they always had resources, and my mom, single mom, really wanted to provide opportunities for me that she didn't even have when she was growing up. And this place was really seemed like an area where you can just raise a good family. As I got older and as I went off to college and I came back and I saw the financial crisis as I was leaving, and then again as I came back, I noticed that there were homes for sale, and frankly, I didn't imagine my life actually staying here in Park Forest. But it's just something about this place. When you're here and you're with the community, you really do feel at home. And I've always felt a sense of home within this village. So I got involved a little bit more. I wanted to know more about my community, and my professional career was really starting to take forward in nonprofits and learning about mental health services in the Southland. And I learned that while there were mental health services in the Southland, what would tend to happen would be if someone, let's say anyone, either low income or just someone would go to try and do a general search, they would actually get directed towards services in Chicago. And it would be a hindrance for the businesses out here, but specifically for places that needed that needed that traffic, that needed that clientele base, like mental health services, behavioral health services, in order just to make and I don't have to get into that. You know what that means. So when I got involved with the youth programming here, again, always thinking about this place as just being an amazing beacon, not really seeing the same resources I had growing up, but to be fair, I wasn't actually looking to see if they were still available. So as I get into learning more about Park Forest and learning more about the community, I come and I find out it's really open to people getting civically involved and getting engaged. And our trustees were like, hey, you need to join this youth commission. You need to get involved and you need to do this. And from that moment on, that's exactly what I did. I got involved, started talking to people throughout Park Forest to understand more just about what they were going through. And I always thought I had an empathetic bone, but it wasn't until I started talking to people in Park Forest that I realized, we really are neighbors here. We share a lot of the same plights. So I guess, you can almost long story short this to, as I continued to notice the services that I was used to just weren't really here in the village anymore, and that more and more were leaving. Just around that time, we were closing our health facility as well. And as I said, I got into this about mental health services, and now I see a health facility is just being closed, and I felt late to the pack. I felt like I didn't know what was going on, and I refused to let that be the case. So for about 3 years or so, I just kept at it, kept advocating. Saw that Ritchie's, our high school, was closing. I was still youth commissioner at the time. I really tried to say, I know we have an outgoing board, but we got to focus on education. We have funding stream differences. There's a board that handles that funding, but education is everyone's responsibility, and we've got to focus on how we're funding it and our own investments. Diving into the budget, seeing that that's exactly what they talk about for their goals, what they want to accomplish. But then if you look deeper, you learn that the actual specific tasks that are being accomplished really are never going to get us to those goals that we want to see, either for our village or for any of our regional partners. So at the end of the day, I made a calculus decision that I can keep standing here and feeling like I'm yelling at a wall, or I can get into this race. And it's not been an easy thing. I got in really early, I think way too early, and got beat up immediately. People don't like if you have an opinion and you want to voice that opinion. They think you should shut up and stop talking, even though they say you need to speak up more. I've just I guess what ultimately changed my mind was just how fair is it that I got to grow up here in Park Forest and got to have those services and got to basically have my life saved, and the next generation under me doesn't get that. It didn't sit right with me. So that's it. I made the push. And also, to be fair, we do have a lot of leaders out here who see people trying to get involved, especially young leaders and young voices, and they will reach out and say, what can I do to help you? Well, you have a lot of people who will say, shut up. You have a lot of people who say, speak up. So it really was it just felt like a joint decision.
What are
Community. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks. What are some of the issues that you feel like you want to address as trustee if you are elected in Park Forest?
Yeah, well, some of those I just talked about. I think it's the way that we're looking at our investment within our community. If you actually, again, look at the budget, you'll see we do a good job of tracking, maintaining, trying to understand where every one of our dollars are going. But for us here in Park Forest, we know if we're not investing in the people here, we're going to keep losing them. And if I get in the seat, the one thing I want to make sure we're doing is if we have our goals that talk about bringing in residents and goals that talk about making it so residents want to stay and build up their homes here in Park Forest, that we have actual tasks that we hold our leadership accountable to. And that's something I just want people to remember. That's what a trustee and a lot of our council leadership positions are actually about. It's setting a strategic vision and then walking away so that the administrators outside of the political arena can go ahead and implement that and then report back out. And then we as citizens hold those leadership people accountable towards if they actually got the goals that they were looking for. And if you look at our trajectory, if you look at the performance metrics and the budgets from Park Forest and almost any municipality, I would be shocked to say if those are the tasks and those are actually the innovative ideas that will reach any of these goals. So we can say we have a vision, but if we actually don't have one, it's clear as day. And I don't think Park Forest has a strong vision, even though we'll continuously say we do.
Absolutely. Park Forest also has a unique form of village government. Can you speak a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so we have our council government, which so we have our village trustees and village trustee president, who we consider the mayor, and then you have your village manager and their administration. The village manager is a non-political position. They are hired on contract, and they implement the strategic vision of the board. Specifically, they make sure that the board agenda, what information is being fed to the board, and information that the board is able to then process is well understood, well available, both to the board and to the public. And then you have the village themselves, the trustees at large. There are 6 trustees. Well, there are 7 trustees in total. One of the trustees is the trustee president, who again we call the mayor. Those 6 at large over the entire population within Park Forest. And then we have even another set of commissioners who are appointed and approved by the trustees that oversee specific topic areas within the village.
And at one point you were a youth commissioner.
Yeah, so and I say oversee, but their actual function for most of them is more advisory to the board and for specific topic areas, and other ones more functional. Obviously, fire, pension, agriculture. Sustainability and economic development. Those would be some of the more ways that citizens, not just in Park Forest, but in any municipality, that can get more connected directly with their government.
Economic development is really important. What are your thoughts on Park Forest's ability to develop more economically?
Yeah, I think that what we've seen with the new blood of trustees that have come in is the exact precedent that I would try to set if I were to get into this role. Trustee Glenna Hennessy recently made public comment that while she had approved a tax relief for a potential business in the to come into the village, she was concerned because while this group would be a great opportunity to hire people within the village, they were offering minimum wage and they weren't offering much for benefits and opportunities for what we know are actual costs that bring down someone's financial mobility. And the group then went back and they said, okay. So then the next time they came in, they said, hey, we have pensions for this person. We have health benefits. We have the extra amenities that we know are necessary for staff members. And we're going to make sure that when we hire people in this area, they're going to have that as their employee package. That's the kind of work that I think is important of a trustee, is to not be the one saying, this is what I'm going to fix, this is what I'm going to fix, but set a strategic vision that you hold everyone accountable to. And I would love to see our commissioners in that group that actually submitted that towards the board, the Economic Development Commission. I'll be frank, I think that group is very siloed. And I want to see either that commission more connected with either all the other commissions, or what would be a better goal of a unified commission where we're looking at education, youth, sustainability, and all of those are factors into economic development rather than siloed add-ons.
Absolutely. So you're looking at more of an integrative strategy for the village.
Absolutely. I think, again, that's what Park Forest prides itself on. If you look at our budgets, which, again, I'm not a huge fan of 500-page budgets, but if you look at our budget and you look at all the rationale, you look at the goals, and you look at what we here say we really do well and what the awards do show, it's that Park Forest is big on comprehensive understanding. It's how we're investing in everything. And while that's great, we have to invest smartly and we have to have impactful funding. We have to cut costs because we just have to. It's not a question of, what do we want to lose? What don't we want to offer to residents? It's, we are now getting, hundreds of thousands of dollars, in expenses added on yearly. And it's getting ridiculous. So what I want to do is just make sure that while we're looking to see what we're doing to increase our economy in Park Forest, we're being smart and we are looking at every aspect and we're looking at every lens.
Absolutely. Another interesting thing about Park Forest is the nonpartisan nature of kind of the election process and politics there. Can you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, so we have a nonpartisan committee, and our elections here, we sign nonpartisan agreements to run nonpartisan. We don't do Republicans and Democrats. The goal here, as I think should be a goal in every local municipality, is who has a good idea, what are the ideas right now, and how can we as a community support those ideas to come to fruition. I'll be fair and honest with you, even with this nonpartisan, it kind of creates this idea that we really don't do debate. And that's an idea, it's a bit of an idea that gets reinforced when we have trustees who don't do debates, who don't get into the community and talk more with the residents because, no, we don't talk about politics, or who don't bring an initiative to the board and says, hey, we need to fight for this, and I'm not going to vote until we get this done because it's an initiative we need to accomplish. That's not partisan, that's not politics, that's policy making, and that's being responsive and being not reactive. So yeah, while I love the fact that we don't do the Republican Democrat out here in Park Forest, I will say it doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of diversity of thought and ideas, and frankly, that's probably one of the reasons why we do have such a good mix of just different people out here, because we don't try to do that political divide.
There was a vote that was taken last night that I think you wanted to speak on.
Yeah, the village just voted to increase the property tax in the next fiscal year, and one of the things that I thought was just very interesting as they went into the conversation. One, we didn't get a chance to see the whole conversation. We had a little bit of technical issues, so our live streams weren't up, and we're hoping to see the full conversation that the board had. But the bits that we did get to see at the end there, it really just seemed as though we weren't talking about the core issues with raising a tax, and it's not even the amount that's being raised at this moment. I think there's a lot of people who can say, well, you can't raise my property taxes $2, $3, $10, $20. You can say that, especially in a pandemic. But what irritates me is that we have conversations of increasing money without ever talking about, well, what's our strategy for cost reduction, or how are we going to make sure that when we get to this point again next year, we do not have to make this increase. I will vote for this. And again, it's the same precedent that we saw with Trustee Hennessy. Again, a new member on the board, a fresh face there, who's not fresh to politics there, but just has a fresh face on the board. She said, well, I'll vote for this now, but I'm not going to continue to vote for this pattern of increase. And if you look at what we're looking at in Park Forest, this is now going to be a small increase. We just came off of a 4-point increase previously, a tax rate increase. The last time we had a trajectory close to this, they then went to a 50% increase. So you have, as I said, we're trying to get new residents into Park Forest. We're trying to maintain, and we have residents who have been here for 2 years, 4 years, really making that decision. So when we make a decision to bring on even a small tax increase, when we don't have a plan that we're ready to share with the public about what we're going to do to make sure that we are decreasing the tax rate out here, then I'm sorry. It's a mistake. And so the fact that the board did vote to approve it, those 4 votes, that is something that I think every Park Forester, and even outside of Park Forest, any municipality that you're in, especially in this time, there has been a vote to increase any fees, any taxes, anything within your area without a strategic plan of how we are not going to continue to increase taxes at all, especially if you see that you have decrease in population, especially if you see you're losing a school and you're losing more and more resources. No, don't you come to me asking for more money if you can't tell me how you're actually going to make it so that that money that we're using is going to be impactful and not wasted. So that is my soapbox, and thank you for giving me the chance to really talk about what is a passion for me, which is not wasting money.
Josh, where can people find you on the internet?
So joshuatravis.com. There you can connect with me anywhere, all my social medias as well.
Josh, I asked you to come up with 2 books, as I do for all my guests when we wrap this up, that you would recommend for the audience. What are they?
I didn't have 2 books, but I had 2 authors because there are a lot of books. S.E. Hinton, if you were to give one book, I'd say The Outsiders. But Tex is also probably one of my close favorites. And then The Boxcar Children. And I got to remember the author, Gretchen Chandler Whitmer. I got to look it up. Go The Boxcar Children. Just go look it up. Both of those were really important to me. And yes, they are childhood books for the most part, but they're fundamental books. They talk, especially for The Boxcar Children, for me, it helped me really identify my years in foster care and what it really meant to try and find a family. And then with S.E. Hinton books, they're always talking about the underdog, just really going through some of the most traumatic moments and coming out, hopefully, for the better on the other side. Again, not the kind of joy books that you'll want to read if you just are looking for happy, but books if you want to relate to dark and twisty.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, Josh.
Thanks, sir. You have a good one.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge 2023. Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, Fifth Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.